Basically, in this part of the world, we are used to the process of go straight to the point. Yeah, so I've had a few times in the past where when I was still learning marketing communication, I was struggling to penetrate, to persuade some certain audience. And then whenever you start, and I will just tell you in the phone, please go straight to the point. And then, when you hear things like this, it's not that they are too busy. When you send a mail and then you don't get a reply, when you make a call and then they tell you, I will get back to you as the first response after your long talk, it means that what you did was wrong. So you don't lead marketing communication directly. You have to lead the communication with a story. All right. You may want to ask, is it the kind of story we learned growing up in primary school, the likes of I go live in Calabar, which is not far from, I go live in the town of Lagoon, which is not far from Ibadan, kind of, and then Edet live in Calabar. All right, so we had those kind of stories, and we were wondering, is that what I mean when I said a story with marketing communication? No, absolutely no, absolutely no. So basically, your marketing is a very long journey. You want to engage me in a conversation, you have to tell me something that is very interesting. Now, basically, you may want to ask, what is a story? So let's start with that. What is a story? What understanding do you have about a story? All right, my name is Timothy Anete, and if you are just getting to my channel for the first time, I would like you to subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button, and then also turn on the notification bell so that when I launch and put up a new video, you can always be on the notification. All right, so, and at the same time, just give a thumbs up and also share this video. That's the support, that's the only support I need from you. Share this video so that it can reach more people. And also, let me have a comment from you. Your comment helps this video to also be seen by more people. And if you do that for me, you are actually encouraging me. Thank you. All right, so basically, what is a story? A story is actually a narrative, either true or fictitious. All right, in prose or verse, designed to interest, amuse, or instruct the hearer or reader. Basically, there's a particular book titled Marketers Are Liars. Now, it's actually not what the author meant. The author actually used that particular title for curiosity. Now, what the author meant was that marketers are fictioners. Are those who write fictions. Yeah, let me use the language that is clearer to me and you. Marketers are those who write fictions. Like I said, a story can be true and it can be fictitious. All right, this is actually what makes a writer. A writer is someone who is able to lead a marketing communication with either a true or a fictitious story. All right, so basically, you must lead your marketing communication with a story. You don't go straight to the point. When you go straight to the point, you are shooting yourself by the foot. Now, I shared something earlier on when a customer or when a prospect calls and asks you how much, that question is a setup. The way you answer the question can either send you off or bring the customer in. Now, it's a two-way thing. I'm going to discuss about how to give a good response to such question in another video. But basically, when you lead with you understand marketing communication with a story, and such question comes, you don't give a direct response. So imagine someone asking me, okay, so I have a business in real estate, and I would like you to draft a marketing journey. And I would like you to draft marketing process and probably help us in our marketing communication in the next 3 months. How much is your fee? Imagine such question. And then I just said my fee is 200,000. I have sold out myself already. As a matter of fact, if a company comes across to me and asks such question, and I give such answer, I don't deserve to be engaged by that company. I do not understand anything about marketing. So basically, you do not do that. So what we are supposed to do is understanding how to lead your marketing communication with a story, either a fiction or a true story. Now, this story can be led by an event that happened. It can also be led by an event that could happen. And it can be led by an event that will happen. Now, this is what fiction does. You don't sit back and wonder what and how do I come up with a story. Now, it can be an event that had happened before. It can be an event that you know could happen. And it can be an event that you know will definitely happen. Now, someone asked me in one of my trainings, I held a TEMCA event. It's a yearly event, TEMCA, Technology and Marketing Event. All right, so in that event, someone asked, I have a business in power, in the line of power equipment, like electronics and power. So how do I lead my marketing communication with a story? And I was so fast in giving them a response. Imagine you having a power product, and then you have premium products that can prevent fire from occurring in a building. So how do you lead your marketing with a communication? First thing you must understand is that there is an event that can happen if they use a fake product in making the connection of the building, in wiring the entire building. And then there is also a story of a building that got burnt because they used bad electrical and electronic equipment. All right, so these are events that can help you to go ahead with your story. Now, basically, there is no story that you can lead on without a trigger, right? Every story requires a trigger. So I know when I see people struggling to come up with a story, it's just the lack of understanding of how to lead on. Now, once you have a trigger, you've had a story. Now, so the first thing that person can have now, as someone whose business is in power, electrical to electronics, and power equipment supplies, the first thing you should understand is, one, there is a trigger in the area of protection. There's a trigger in the area of fire engulfing a building. There is also a trigger in the area where the right equipment can prevent. Prevention, now look at it. We have prevention, we have protection, and we have engulfing. All right, so these three triggers, when fire engulf a building, you are at a big problem as a landlord. Now you can prevent this. Now you can also protect the building. So if it had happened, there's a story of how it happened. There's a story of how it can happen. There's a story of how it will happen if this is not done. All right, so these are the three ways stories can be led. It is really not something that is very strange, right? It's just an understanding of how to lead this. Now look at this. Of every story you may want to begin, make sure that you are beginning with reality in mind. When we are talking about fiction, it doesn't have to be something that is not believable. So if you are writing fiction, it must have to be something that is relatable, believable, and then something that an average human can feel. All right, so you are relating with an ordinary world. That's the first basic thing you must understand before trying to get involved in marketing communication with a story. You are relating with an ordinary world, right? Relating with an ordinary world means that it's same humans like you that we are interacting with. So don't overemphasize your fiction, all right? So you want to talk about how an event happened, but in reality, you do not have a pictorial fact about that event. So what you are having is a fiction. Fiction fictitious events that we are going to be writing about. Make it relatable, all right? Make it come to reality. bring it, you have to be able to bridge the space between fiction and reality. All right, so you must be able to marry the two together. And then being able to put the two together will make your story strong, will make your story solid in a way that people, an average human, can easily relate. All right, you don't even have to struggle. You don't even have to try to convince them that this is not fake. All right, as they are reading, whether it is fiction or not, they already know that this, even if this person has not experienced this, there's a tendency that this happens. All right, so they don't even have to start arguing. This can never happen. All right, so there are stories like that that people would just get to the middle and they were like, this can never happen. All right, so they will just tell you it can never happen. And once your story has such, you've lost them. All right, in marketing communication, the very beginning begins with a trigger, and then you marry the middle of it. Now, this is it. This is how to go about it. The first stage is that you begin with a trigger of reality. All right, at the middle of your marketing communication story, you bring them to adventure. Now, bringing them to adventure is that you are now bridging the gap between fiction and reality. You are bringing them into the story as humans, as prospects. You are seeing their parts of the story. You are seeing their part of lifestyle. You are seeing their part of journey in your story. And then as long as you are writing your marketing communication, you are writing to humans and you are writing for a purpose. You are not just writing this story for fun. Your story must have a purpose, all right? So you must have a reason why you are actually leading this communication. It is not just for fun. It is not just because you want to show your writing prowess. No, there is nothing like trying to show that you have learned story writing, you've learned storytelling. No, there has to be a defined purpose. So at the middle of your communication, you must bring them into the adventure. Bring them into adventure so they can be a part of your story. So you are bridging, you are merging, you are communicating, you are integrating their journey, their humanity, their perspective. You are bridging their interests into the story. And at the same time, they are already being part of your journey in that story. And you will be shocked to see that people you are trying to target, your audience, your prospect, are already so deep into the story, and they will not know when they followed you to where I call a lounge. So towards the end of the story, you must be sure that you lead them to the lounge. All right, so storytelling is an interesting thing. And I wonder how people will lead marketing communication without an understanding of how to bridge the storytelling into the marketing communication. It's only with a story that you can be able to bring an ordinary human into an adventure and be able to lead them to the lounge. Now, leading them to the lounge here is leading them to your offer. Now, when I talk about an offer, like that's what I said, your story is not without a purpose. Now, the essence of your story may be so that you can end up having them to fill a form on your funnel. Maybe you can, so that you can end up serving them your offer for product sales. But basically, I am that marketer who is a champion of beyond media buying. I champion that cafe beyond media buying. Aside the fact that you have an understanding of how to pay for ad, click on the ad, set the ad up, and let it run. Now, your marketing begins the moment you've been able to gain the lead, the moment you've been able to get across your prospect, and then your marketing begins the moment you've been able to take them on a journey outside of the place you captured them. That's exactly where your marketing begins. So in my book, Beyond Media Buying, I took time to emphasize on the importance of this as well. So marketing journey with a story is something you cannot negotiate. All right, so basically, this is what you must understand. Leading them to the launch text process. So you must define your message. In your story, you must define your message. You are not just leading people. Nobody will be able to follow you down to the lounge if you've not defined your message in the story. All right. You must also decide your kind of story. All right. The kind of story you will tell determines the kind of audience you are targeting. okay, let me rephrase. The kind of audience you are targeting determines the kind of story you will tell. All right, so for instance, you cannot be targeting premium clients and tell a story that that is supposed to be for people who are the middle class. Now we have the rich and the poor, right? So if your audience, if your targets are for the super rich, you must be careful of the kind of story you are sharing with them. They are not interested in those trenchy stories. Now, they are not interested in such stories. Now, they are interested in the kind of story that meets their status. There is something called premium jokes. There is something called stories for made men. Right? So this will determine if you are familiar with some kind of campaigns on television or campaigns on most social media, especially if you are the kind of person that pay attention to YouTube ads. You see the kind of ads Airtel run. Airtel have two different kind of ads. They have ads for the middle class and they have ads for the rich class. Now what they do is, for the middle class, they run ad on how you can share data easily, on how you can buy data cheap, on how you can benefit from their cheap offers, on how you can also take advantage of other benefits. Now for the premium class, for the rich class, they share offers on how they can easily connect their homes so that the ease of running out, so that they will not at any point be disappointed of internet services. They also share how they can connect their office with just a particular equipment. And then with this, they are trying to let them feel the ease of running their business, the ease of running their home. Most of these people have kids who consume large data monthly. They have businesses that their offices are consuming large data monthly, and then they are serving this kind of people. Also, the likes of Guinness also understand the kind of ad they target to the middle class, the kind of ad they target to the lower class. Now, someone said that Lamborghini doesn't advertise. It's a lie, they do. I actually had to take my time to go and understand what these people do. You are not seeing the ad because they don't need you. You're not going to be seeing the ad because you are not their customer. You are not even in the category of the people they need. Now, this is what I mean when I said you have to define the kind of story you want to tell. So defining the kind of story you want to tell is determined by the kind of audience that you are targeting. All right. So the story that will make sense to the premium class may not make sense to the lower class. So you have to be careful when telling a story. Don't be too eager to set out for storytelling. You have to be able to define things for yourself. All right. So secondly, your story must do two things. Your story must motivate. Maybe not just two, maybe 3 or 4. Your story must educate. All right. Your story must inform. Your story must entertain. How many things have I mentioned there? 4. Your story must motivate. It must entertain. It must educate. And it must inform. 4. If your story doesn't have these 4 things, you have no reason to begin. This is why you don't pick up your laptop and then hit your keypad and start typing. You don't pick up your pen and then hit your notebook and start writing. No, that is not how to run a story. You are going to be doing yourself a disservice when you go about storytelling with that pattern. Now, the best way to go about storytelling is to sit back, meditate, determine and understand who you are sending the story to, and then align the kind of story you are writing. All right, understand the end from the beginning. All right, sit back, meditate, and then your story must convey values. You don't just write stories to lead people to offer. In the middle of the story, there must be values conveyed in it. You must convey value in your story. All right, so either you are communicating corporate or personal brand, there must be a feel of value in your marketing communication using that story. All right, you must pass across entertainment, you must pass across motivation, you must pass across information, you must pass across education. All right, those four things must be buried inside of your story. They must be integrated in your story. Right, those values cannot be taken out. You must make sure that those values are integrated in your story. You don't wait to show them the values when they have subscribed to your offer. Something happened this morning. Let me share a little story with you. Before I started recording this video, I did something this morning. I had a meeting with Google team who had scheduled a meeting with me last week for today, Tuesday. So we had that meeting by 10 a.m. this morning. And then the meeting was to review one of the areas of our business, the e-commerce. I run an e-commerce, jorade.com.ng. And then in that meeting, something very important happened. I was offered premium free service. I was well educated. All right, so we took up from the beginning by practically analyzing my site, analyzing what needs to be done, and then they commended us on what we are doing so far in our platform. And then they practically analyzed from page to page, from all the Google pages and all the Google tools that we have integrated, how we can adjust and how we can have the best on our services. And then while I was enjoying the practical guides and they were about to sell me an offer, I knew right from time, I knew they were trying to get me in. So they have gone to study us and they've seen, because in my Google Analytics, I actually have where I analyze my traffic. So they have seen where my traffic comes from and they've seen the heaviness of my traffic. I do a lot of traffic from from Facebook and Instagram daily to the platform. And they have noticed and they wanted us to be more on Google tools. So they set up the meeting and then they took time to educate, they took time to share values, they took time to motivate, they took time to guide, they took time to inform me about their tools and their values were well communicated. At the end of the day, I was bought. Now, this is it. The most interesting part was that there's a particular tool I was supposed to pay for that would have kicked us started with the service. Now, to start with, they gave us a particular price and then a setup fee as well. And then the truth is, in that meeting, there was an offer to set up while we were still in the meeting. All right. And then the deduction came at about 50%. From 50%, we got to 30% deduction. Now, this is the interesting part. Right in that meeting, I was not allowed to go out. We bidded in the meeting and we had an agreement and the setup was done in the meeting. Now, this is the interesting part about leading your marketing communication. You don't leave your prospect hanging only to discover. I don't believe in the idea of discovering my value when you take the offer. If you have the values, let me feel it while you are communicating your marketing. All right, this is one of the things I usually tell people. Do not just be eager to get people paid to sign up. Be eager to offer your service. So one of the things we do in Marketing Lab HQ is that we allow you to enjoy the benefit of our knowledge. We allow you to enjoy the benefit of our expertise. We take up, if you want to contact us for your marketing communication and every other thing, we take out time to analyze your business and then we send you what we've discovered. Now, this is what your marketing communication should have. You must have an integral part of, an integrated value into your communication. You don't just communicate people to go and discover when they have paid for the said, for the presumed value. All right, the perceived value must be felt. All right, so basically, I've said that you must communicate your value, you must convey your value, you must educate them in it, and also you must bridge in a relatable character, right? I've already explained that earlier. Must bridge in a relatable character, right? And the most important thing is you must as well bridge in conflict, all right? You must bridge in conflicts. You know, this is it. I told you something earlier. There is something about conflict. This is why people take action almost immediately. One of the banks in Nigeria that understands this kind of marketing communication is Sterling Bank at the moment. If you have been following Sterling Bank often, you will see how Sterling Bank embrace conflict. And then they do this effectively on Twitter, especially on some important events. All right. So Sterling Bank will come up with a conflict process. All right. They will bridge in every other bank in the country. They will bring in every other bank in the country and cause a conflict about their process, about their system, about their standard. All right. And then they will project as the only bank who understand the conflict of Nigerians with these particular other existed banks. And then they would now strategically place their communication, and then they will leave. The conflict will begin. One, it helps in bringing back. Two things will happen when such communication is done. In the mind of the prospect, they will understand, they will remember what they've gone through. They will be mad again at that particular bank that made them go through that particular process. And then they will remember that process and know that they don't ever want to go back. And at this point, they've seen a bank who understands this conflict, a bank who understands this particular conflict you and that other bank had. And then you want to give them a try. Since they understand, they probably have put a system in place to prevent this from happening. Now you are relating with and have average prospect mindsets. All right. So conflict helps you to bring people. In fact, as a matter of fact, is one of the best ways to overcome your competitor. All right. So you understand the challenges in the country as a politician, and then you use a communication strategy that brings in all the issues in the country, all the conflicts that you know existed between the citizens and the ruling party. Now, one of the things I must tell you is this is exactly what APC used in 2015 to overcome Nigeria, to overcome PDP. They sat back and understood the conflicts between an average Nigerian and the ruling party then, and they used it very effectively. And this worked magic for the opposition party then, which was APC. And then they drafted their communication with conflicts. You are paying this, are you certain this particular price of things has gone to this, and then you are relaxed? Now, when we come up, we will make sure that these come to this, these come to this, and these come to this. Now, this is bringing in conflicts between your opposition, between your competitor, and then bridging the gap with your proposed solution. And then with this, you are already bridging where your prospect is. You're already trying to sell your expertise, your strength, and your capacity. All right, so as a company, as a business, as a brand, whether personal or corporate brand, this is one of the things you must understand. All right, conflicts in your marketing communication is one of the key things that must be integrated to bridge that gap. All right, and another thing is when you bring in conflicts, you must bring in resolution. Yeah, this is one of the things I just said. So after they have brought in the conflict, they let you know that the resolution is with them. They were the one to solve that problem. Now, as a company, as a brand, as an individual, your skill must be communicated this way. You must understand, and you must also share this particular pattern of communication. All right, at a point where you understand this effectively, you must be able to project yourself, your brand, as the solution. The resolution lies with you. You are the one to prefer this solution. And at that point, you have taken them to the lounge. Let them sit at the lounge and be very careful when they've gotten to the lounge. Don't joke with your next step, which is your call to action when they've dined with you in the lounge. All right? At the lounge, for them to have gotten to the lounge with you, it means that you've done a great job from the beginning to the lounge stage. So at the lounge, don't miss the opportunity of taking them on the best journey, which is a place of activation and then conversion. Until I come your way next time, my name is Timothy Anetie, and do me just one favor. Share this video, subscribe to this channel, and then turn on the notification bell so that you can always get new videos from me whenever I share them. And at the same time, don't forget to leave a comment. Let me understand one of the things you learned in the video. Thank you.